Margaret Mead would say, and I'll paraphrase, never doubt that a thoughtful, committed group of citizens can change the world when indeed they're the only thing that can. Never doubt that a thoughtful, committed group of people, of citizens, can change the world. They are indeed the only ones that can. Perhaps you've heard of the story of the holy Hindu man Rao, who decided in 1966 to bring a group of people together because he decided that he could walk on water. And so he got all excited about it, and he was really into it. And he just decided to charge them $100 for them to show up to watch him walk across the water. And so about 600 people gathered, and they were all like, what's going to happen here? And so he looked at the water, the body of water, and everybody's gathered, and he, did his prayer, did his blessing, and then he went to walk across the water. Well, he got a few steps, and he went totally down, down, and he comes back up, and he's all red, and he's very frustrated. And he says, which one of you doesn't believe that would be possible for me to walk across the water? And in the early days of New Thought, people really felt that strongly about intentional gathering. That when everybody in a circle held the space, thou shalt be healed, thou shalt be revealed, thou shalt be loved, thou shalt have a life that is just spectacular, full of miracles. They really held each other to that space of that intention and that energy. I love it when I visit and go to, I've been once, but I loved it when I went to Abidjan, Brazil, because I was very humbled by that experience, because there's been millions of people that have come from that experience. They've come because they have this intention of the gathering that something's going to happen and their lives are going to be changed forever. That's never without question, that they're holding that space. I'm going to go there, and I'm excited. I may not even have anything wrong with me. Maybe I'm going to discover something right with me. But I know my life's going to be changed forever. And you imagine time after time, day after day, people gathered from all over the world with that same intention, where you could just go there and sleep in the bed the whole time and never show up, but that permeating energy is going to shift and it's going to change you because it's already there in the ethers, and there's nothing you can do to keep it from happening with you, right? So in that space, as I think about that, and I think about the original root of New Thought, Reverend Allen will tell you and agree with me on this, that originally New Thought communities, their idea was not to become a church because of the way that churches were held as a place of telling people they weren't okay, there's damnation, you'll never be forgiven, or blah, 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 whatever that was. They didn't want to get New Thought teachings to become tangled up with that, of that you're not going to be okay unless you have us. They didn't want that. The New Thought teachings, the original idea was that they wanted to show people how to have a life beyond their imagination, and to how to use the principles that they could exceed beyond anything they've ever dreamed of. Can you imagine, holding that space? Often I find in New Thoughts we kind of have watered it down a bit. We've watered it down because in the original concept of it, it's how much can we see? How many miracles can we experience? How much of a vibration can we have? Does this resonate with you? Are you kind of flowing along with me in this particular way? Yes. My intention for spiritual gathering here at First Unity is that not that we want to model Abidjan, Brazil. I don't want to model anything or anyone. I want us collectively to model what God has intended for us. But I would like to see us be the place that when people say, well, I have a headache, well, I know if I go sit at First Unity, it'll go away. I've never been loved in my life, but oh, I went there one Sunday and now Mr. Wright showed up. I'm on my way to Hawaii. You know, oh, I went to the doctor last week and I got my diagnosis. But I came into First Unity and I went back and they can't find anything. The image that I hold of sacred intention gathering is people that come together with a chorus of vibrancy because they are celebrating God so big. So big. I hold myself accountable when I say, do I continue to tell my issues? Do I continue to tell God how big my issues are? Or do I tell my issues that my God is so big that I'm complete with those issues? I'm going to bring a group of people together with me because we're going to hold that intention together. Wow. Wouldn't that be awesome? Can you see that and feel that? Because I do. I hold that for us. Not in me, but in us, you see. You know, the original idea of a hospital was that's where people went to get well. And I'm not really kidding. That was the original idea. It was to rest and to find sacred and to find what is true. That's why I wanted to have this conversation today, because unless we show up in our lives with intention, then any possibility can happen, influenced by all different kind of vibrations and energies. So what is our intention as spiritual beings? When I was in 5th grade, part of the elective class was that they wanted you to be in the band. And so, you know, you go to band and you were all excited. I wanted to play either the trumpet or the drums. But they didn't really give you a choice. You know, they kind of said, these are the instruments that we have, or they figured out what they thought your parents might want you to have or whatever. Truth, it just wasn't about you. That's what I know. But anyway, so for me, they picked the trombone. I don't know why. I mean, it's just loud, right? And, you know. But anyway, so I was picked to play the trombone. But I really felt for the music instructor, because you had people with the clarinet and with the flute like Paul was playing, and hear me with the trombone and the drums, and you had all these people, you know, 30, 40, 50 kids with all these instruments, and I'm telling you, it was scary. I'm sure that he must have wore ear stoppers, because it was horrific, squeaking and noise, and, you know, it's like, oh my gosh. And all of us kind of went, there's no way we're ever going to sound like anything other than... But he held an intention for us, you see. He held a strong intention that we would be able to be in harmony, and that we would be able to play music, and that we would be able to be in that space. And that's what we became. And that's what we did. And because we held that space together and we held that outcome together, that's exactly what happened, surprisingly, in a very short period of time, because we knew it could be true. But you see, one day came and I put that trombone over to the side. I no longer practiced. I no longer looked at the music. I no longer did that. And now I could have any trombone in the world, and it wouldn't have that much meaning to me because I have lost the art. You see, a lot of people have that particular thing in their lives right now because there is an art of how we can use divine intelligence, how we can use God, how we can use our Creator to step into a greater place. But it requires us to keep those spiritual muscles going. It requires us to keep the energy of prayer and holding that space of something better is on its way and I'm getting ready for it. We're the ones that hold that patterning for the intention of what is coming next. And sometimes when we're caught by surprise, disease, discord, an upset family member, whatever it may be, often they give us this grand opportunity so we can remember at a greater level what we're here to practice in the first place. Does that make sense? In Scripture, in Corinthians 12, starting verse 4, it says, "Now there are a variety of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are a variety of services, but the same Lord. And there are a variety of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each of us is given manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another tongues, to another the discernment of spirits, and to another the essence of creating of the same Spirit. If so many people in our world would just read that one set of verses. We're not dealing with 14 and 32 different spirits. We're dealing with one life, and that life is ours, and that life is our life right now. I love the statement that William Gibson made. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Isn't that powerful? Everybody take a breath on that. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. So how can we be part of that space? Is that we can recognize that we all have these gifts that we can bring in harmony together. We all have an essence and an energy and something that we can bring to the table. And what will that intention be? There was a woman a number of years ago, you perhaps have heard of her, Jean Nidrich. And Jean always knew that she had an issue that she wanted to address in her life because she wasn't happy with her weight. And so she went to all these different places because she wanted her physical self to look different. She had an image of how she perceived that she wanted it to be. And she'd go to classes and stuff like that, and she'd take the information down, but she'd get home and she'd be all frustrated because very little happened with it. And so on this one particular time, she got to where she felt like she hit bottom, at least in her own interpretation. She was a size 44. And so she went and she heard this class, and they talked about various foods that they ought to eat and stuff like that. And she goes home, she's all excited, but within a day or two, she's already fallen flat and she needed to be motivated. So she asked the Great Spirit, I know this is the intention. What is it that I need to do? And the message she got from her prayer was that she needed to call a group of people over and support her. So she called a group of people over, and they started talking about the challenges and revealing the stories of what was working out for them and what wasn't working for them, and how they could align and how they could start cooking foods to support each other. That was the beginning ground floor of the start of one of the largest organizations in the world called Weight Watchers. But it came about because a person would not let go of an intention that she felt like aligned and matched with what was hers to do, and she continued to show up even though she might have moments of frustration, even though she might not understand why it was bigger than her. She held this consciousness, and they are an industry that have changed millions of lives all over the world because of following through with a group of people. Many of us starting this week are going to be with a lot of different people because we're moving into the Thanksgiving, Holy Day, holiday, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah kind of time. And we're moving into this space, and what I'd like you to think about, because I certainly have been thinking about it, is I'm going to be with a lot of people outside of our Unity Choir. And I'm thinking about what is the space I'm going to hold? How am I going to show up? What am I going to do? Am I going to continue the good patterning of my body and take on some of the things that I know is important, drinking my water and not doing sugar? Or at some point along the holiday time, am I just going to surrender and jump in and pay the price later? It's not an easy one to pay, let me tell you. I've already got my answer because I know I'm just not giving in this year. You can hold me to that. But what is yours? What is yours? And what is some of the patterning? Because unless we have an intention that it's going to be different, before you know it, we start channeling someone else in our bodies. You agree, right? I mean, I'm not the only one this has ever happened to, right? Does this happen to some of you? You start saying things you wouldn't normally say, start expressing things you wouldn't normally express. And if we decide, if we make a decision that we're not going to do that, then that's where we start. That we're going to support each other in being different. We might need to call in to a few of our friends back at home, sang by Susan. We might need to resonate with something else to keep that vibration up, because that's the way that we can make a difference. Reverend Dennis Merritt Jones gave an idea while I was away, and I loved it. He said when he really realized that what he needed to do as a New Thought leader is he needed to stop being concerned with fitting in, and he needed to understand that what mattered was belonging. 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 So in your life, where's your energy going? To fit in? Because fitting in means that we may sometimes show up in a way that's not really authentic to who we are. Fitting in is starting to look at, well, I need to be accepted by something or someone. Or is it belonging? I'm a part of a group of people that are committed that we can make a difference. And what would that look like, and how could I do it? I love the way God works, because these titles are picked so many weeks in advance, and yet it's in the ethers, and it amazes me. So with getting ready to talk about intentional gathering, I found myself on Tuesday at the county commissioners meeting, speaking on behalf of all the helpless furry animals in our county. I was privileged to be part of a group of people. I was privileged to be in a room of a group of people that we've stopped saying, oh, a few of us can't make a difference, but people that are willing to say, in fact, we're the only ones that can. And I reminded the commissioners and the different people there that there was a time in our society not long ago that women didn't have a voice and they couldn't vote. And there was a time that African Americans couldn't be on any kind of lead role with one of the active people there. But there were a group of people that decided that these changes need to occur. And where we are in our society, if we are going to model to our children that we're not a throwaway or euthanizing or get rid of society, we have to do better. We, the people, have to lead by example in order that the changes occur. Do you agree with this? And we are the ones that will be part of making that difference, because we are modeling to all the young people who watch us. They watch every move we make. They watch everything that we do. And so we come together in that space and in that consciousness of seeing that change can occur, that we can live in a city and in a community and in a world, that it's not those people over there, we are those people over there. It's not those animals down the road, we are those animals down the road. Because it's that collective consciousness of everything out picturing for our highest and best good. I also spoke on a panel this week to the elderly about things that are their life rights, their rights as human beings. And it was so powerful to be with other leaders in our community talking about these conversations. You know what was exciting for me is that we're in the conversation. Because that's where we have been, is there's a group of people thinking somewhere over there that there's a group of people doing something, and what happens is the years go by and very little people are doing anything until we make a stand that we are the people that can make a difference. I'm going to close with the idea of when I was on the softball team. And what I really got from being on the softball team, and I've never forgotten it, it never mattered as an athlete how good I was, unless the other people held the vibration and were willing to be better so that we could win. It always takes a group with the same gathering intention to change life situations. And I want to be on the grand life bus where people believe in miracles, where we believe that we can be healed by the very nature that we sit here still for an hour in this room and listen to a wide range of things and each other. I want to be part of a community that knows that we're out in the community, taking unity out there and saying, hello, people. It's time. It's time to be spectacular. It's time to wake up. It's time to have miracles. How many dreams can you have? I'm not going to be advertising for people to show up and I'm going to walk across the water. We don't need to do that. But it's a we. It's a we. So we never doubt that a committed, thoughtful group of people can change our society. We are the only ones that can. Thank you for being with me today. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you.